Lita, Stephanie McMahon, Baby Doll, AJ Lee, Trish Stratus. These are just some of the female performers over the years who found themselves in the middle of love triangle angles as two male performers feud over them, both determined to prove their love via victory. And now, to go with all those women, we can add Paul Heyman to that list. Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. Make no mistake, no matter what they tell you, this is not a true WrestleMania main event. That'll be John Cena versus Cody Rhodes on night 2 this year. Now, Cena and Rhodes have plenty of logical developments for their feud. Rhodes is the WWE champion, John Cena is the #1 contender. Rhodes is a babyface champ fighting for the fans. Cena recently turned into a bitter old heel in league with The Rock. Is it the greatest WrestleMania feud ever? Obviously not. But at least it's plain as day why it's happening. Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. On the other hand, well, let's see, there's a lot to unpack. At the Royal Rumble, Seth Rollins stumped Roman Reigns' brainses into mush. Reigns missed Elimination Chamber because of this, ensuring he could not get a world title match at WrestleMania. On top of that, Rollins has been a thorn in Reigns' side throughout his career, from betraying him in the Shield to cashing in and destroying his first WrestleMania main event in 2015, to helping ensure Cody Rhodes defeated the OTC back at WrestleMania 40 last year. Plenty of juice for a logical grudge feud between these two. And yet, when Rollins comes dancing out, the sheep singing along to his entrance theme, doing his typical, zesty mannerisms and fashion sense, Rollins gets in the ring and he's there to suggest an alliance of sorts with Roman Reigns, seemingly. The man he's shafted time and time again, the man he despises for so many reasons. And yet here he is, Rollins, an agent of chaos, trying to make friends ahead of a big blow-off bout with these two arch-nemeses. So in storyline, Seth Rollins also despises CM Punk and everything he stands for. They've been feuding. Rollins was essentially driven mad by losing to Punk back at their Raw Netflix premiere bout. The two have been talking trash and brawling on and off ever since, and Rollins cost Punk the Elimination Chamber match back in February, after Punk eliminated him, so I guess they both cost each other the match in different ways. So either singles feud for Seth Rollins makes sense, there are clear-cut stories at work. The funny thing is, the most interesting potential singles feud here, because it's the freshest, is Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. Last year, Punk, as a favour to old pal Paul Heyman, agreed to help the OG bloodline. And by the end of War Games, Roman Reigns was shaking his hand, grateful for his help despite testy beginnings between them. Punk eliminated Reigns from the Rumble. It's every man for himself. It's nothing personal. Reigns is meant to be a babyface now, and yet he was booked to be an absolute bitch boy about this, throwing a hurt feelings fit at the Rumble, and then again in a promo on SmackDown the other week. Basically, WWE were severely lacking in worthwhile drama between Reigns and Punk to warrant their aspect of this triple threat mess. So Triple Nose has given them a damsel in distress to fight over, but not a hot chick, oh no. No, they get the Walrus, as Jerry Lawler used to say, Paul Heyman. Last week, Heyman informed Punk that this triple threat would headline a WrestleMania night. That's a big deal for Punk. He's made no bones about his dream always being to headline a WrestleMania. Fair enough dream for a pro wrestler to have, of course. Punk and Heyman then got all weepy and misty-eyed and affectionate with each other, and dare I say it was a little too affectionate, if you know what I mean. Had Punk offered Heyman a grateful handshake, or even given him a quick bro hug, that would have been one thing, sure. But instead they're two teary-eyed Nancy boys cuddling over a little contract clause. The feelings era is here, and it's here to stay. Turn back at clocks. Remember when Stone Cold Steve Austin came back, late 1997, from a career-threatening neck injury? He got his revenge on Owen Hart, and later, January 1998, he wins the Royal Rumble to guarantee him the main event spot at WrestleMania 14. Right, now imagine him and Jim Ross crying and cuddling over it the next night or something. Do you think the Rattlesnake still becomes a megastar? Anyways, that favour Heyman owes Punk from late last year was finally revealed this week. At WrestleMania, Paul Heyman will be stuck in CM Punk's corner instead of Roman Reigns'. Right, so let's get this straight. CM Punk, who's well into his 40s, past his athletic prime, he's injury prone, and yet to even get a single world title match since returning to WWE, has notoriously diabolical manager Paul Heyman owing him a favour. Heyman, who has a long history of betraying people in kayfabe, including Punk himself back in 2013. Heyman, who could have, in theory, maybe, negotiated getting Punk a world title opportunity after Mania this year, maybe. Now that would be a pretty good favour. Instead, Punk has got this guy cornering him for a nothing stakes match when for years WWE have made clear that Reigns is his favourite client who he's the most loyal to. Even permanently turning his back on Brock Lesnar back in 2022 to serve Reigns and eating a beatdown by Solo Sikoa and the Tonga Turds last year for the same reason. Heyman eyes Roman Reigns lustfully, whatever the word is. He does it most weeks, watch him closely. Constantly calling him my tribal chief. Dreaming of a world where a main event Chad like Roman Reigns could ever go for an obese short-ass weasel like Paul Heyman. It'll never happen. There are leagues in this world, and Punk wants this doughy-eyed, near 60 flirt in his corner against his dream man, Roman Reigns. Punk's an idiot, apparently. I thought he was meant to be a wily, crafty veteran. It was a role that kinda suited him, and they just went and made him a complete moron out of nowhere. And even the way Reigns and Heyman reacted on SmackDown when Punk announced that was the favour. Heyman is crying, he's heartbroken, he's blubbering, it's just embarrassing to watch. He's so sad that he's letting Roman Reigns down, and Reigns, frankly, seems like a jealous, dangerous boyfriend. Like he's about to beat his main squeeze Heyman, you know, like he did when he thought Heyman was cheating on him with Brock Lesnar back in late 21 and early 22. Punk then jumps Roman Reigns. Alright, brawl time. Finally something that's not completely lame. Here we go. And for some reason, it's not really a brawl at all. Instead, a couple of love-tap punches from Punk render Roman Reigns completely inert when Punk hoists him up for the GTS. He just lays on Punk's shoulders compliantly as Punk plays to the camera before dropping him. Bizarre. No resistance. It's like he wanted to get GTS'd. Good sell of the GTS from Roman Reigns, to be fair, easily the best part of this whole debacle. Overall, though, this is easily one of the dirt worst main events in modern WrestleMania history. And it's not because of the talent involved, just to be clear. It's because of the messy, nonsensical booking that has left 3 notable names without anything proper to do at WrestleMania. All while one of the world title bouts involves Gunther tormenting a career mid-carder in a bout guaranteed to be in the mid-card. I could make a whole lot of jokes about how gay Punk, Reigns and Heyman seem at this point, literally.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Not at all.
I'm half expecting Heyman to get Eiffel Towered by those two at this rate. I could keep going on and on and on about the gaps in logic here, but honestly, why bother? Clearly triple no's, and his TKO handlers put no thought into booking and promoting this year's WrestleMania. Probably too busy booking his own Hall of Fame induction before pretending to just be so surprised when his best buds, HBK, and sellout bootlicker, The Undertaker, and it just kills me saying that about the dead man, reveal his induction, that he blatantly booked for himself, like he had no idea. Bar John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, everything else on this card is a thrown-together slapdash mess. Take another example from SmackDown this week. Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton. At a glance, it's a logical women's bout that has seemingly, based on rumours, been on the cards for months. And yet it has had next to no effort put in to building it logically. Flair wins the Rumble. Stratton wants to face her because she was a huge Flair fan on her way into the industry. Okay, the successful veteran wants to prove she's still got it after a long time away. The brash go-get-'em new star wants to add a major legacy win to her resume and prove she's more than just a Money in the Bank fluke champion. So that all makes sense. It's not exactly game-changing, but it's a straightforward story. And then they have their little sit-down segment last week. Who's the heel here? Who's the face? Clearly the audience wants Stratton to be the face, but watch the segment. Flair roasts Stratton for being a flash in the pan, and Stratton's response is some bizarre shoot comment on Flair ruining hot new acts. Flair is wrestling her because Stratton begged her to. So it's not exactly cold water on a hot act, is it? It's agreeing to something that was propositioned to her by the new act. Where is the logic here? Is Stratton bipolar? Is that the big twist we're all waiting for? Good grief. There were some rumours that segment went off the rails because Flair wouldn't stick to the script. You know, she went into business for herself. Well, if true, it appears the shoe was very much on the other foot this week. Recently, Flair gave an interview where she talked about failed marriage number 3 to Andrade. And hey, look, let's be fair to Charlotte Flair, alright? It would be hard being married to someone who does not coherently speak a single known language on earth. I'm Team Charlotte. I wouldn't be able to handle an incomprehensible significant other either. I wouldn't have married Andrade in the first place. I mean, not that I would in general, because as you might recall,
I am not gay!
The reason this is relevant is because Tiffany Stratton brought it up this week during a segment where Wade Barrett was meant to moderate, and I'm afraid I've got some bad news. He failed abysmally. Go back to the commentary desk. Yeah. This whole segment, it was an absolute disaster piece from start to finish. Tiffany Stratton's voice is just brutal to listen to for extended periods of time. And Charlotte Flair's impression of it did not help matters at all. I get she was pointing out how shrill and annoying Stratton's voice is. But still, all it meant was that we had a bad copy of it to contend with. It was like Stewie, and then Bitch Stewie in Family Guy. So Stratton, seemingly, if the dirt sheets are to be believed, if you can, went off script here to roast Charlotte Flair's rotten luck on the marriage front. She's the Russ Geller of women's wrestlers. And Stratton noted immediately that Charlotte Flair is 0-3. The nature daughter is to marriage what Jey Uso is to Gunther. And Flair, even when she tried to get her digs in, was booed to hell so loudly by the Chicago crowd that it was an uphill battle for the woman to even be heard. Stratton storms off, and Flair goes full Conor McGregor after Dustin Poirier broke his leg. Kaiser's in my DMs. Kaiser, whatever. Look, I don't want to hate on Charlotte in the way it's going to sound like I am about to, okay? It's going to sound shallow. And some hero, some white knight powerhouse, is going to say she's a hashtag queen. And that I must be a gay, virgin, hater who's obese, bald, and lives with his mum or something. But let's be real. If you're Ludwig Kaiser, awful ring name, you might as well just be called German Germanson, and you're dating Tiffany Stratton, let's be real, let's have a think. Do you slide into Charlotte Flair's DMs? Do you think Charlotte Flair can offer you something Tiffany Stratton cannot? I personally don't think you do. I mean, I suppose either way you are in serious danger of getting hurt, getting bruised in the night when those silicon boulders clatter into you because your girl's having a bad dream or whatever, but, I think most blokes would stick to Stratton if these were their options. You know what, let's just leave it at that. Basically, the reason I bring up the Stratton Flair thing, despite this just really being a video about the Heyman nonsense, is because it's yet more proof that the Emperor has no clothes. Triple Nose clearly has no idea what he's doing, and bar Cena versus Rhodes, there is little to no logic for many of the matchups set for this year's WrestleMania. It is a thrown-together mess of a card. I'm sure some of the talent involved will deliver great action, and that's really good. Good stuff, cool. But as a show, these matchups mostly are bizarre, and the builds are lackadaisical at best. Characterizations are all over the shop, plot holes galore, out of nowhere builds and moments. It's just bad. A lot of these people on the screen are working very hard to make it entertaining, but the material they've been given is piss poor. And look, I know wrestling has never exactly been sophisticated high art storytelling. I'm not expecting Paul Thomas Anderson or the Coen brothers or whoever here, guys. What I and most fans, though, are expecting is straightforward, high-level action builds to a prestigious show that only comes around once a year. And even that apparently is too much to ask for. Huge letdown, especially compared to 2023 and 2024, both of which had highly effective Road to WrestleMania seasons and matchups that made sense for the big shows.